Welcome to this presentation of our newest development, Vienna Dimension Brass. Vienna Dimension Brass consists of 4 ensembles: 4 trumpets, 4 horns, 4 trombones, and the low brass section, a tuba, a bass trombone, and 2 trombones playing 1 octave higher, a very common instrumentation. What's really special about Vienna Dimension Brass is that each single instrument of each ensemble was recorded with a dedicated microphone. This gives us many new options. Every instrument of each ensemble has its own character, so you can influence the sound of the whole group with individual mixer setups. Here's a short example with a musical phrase that is played with 1, 2, 3, and finally all 4 instruments of the ensemble. Our new Vienna Instruments Pro player comes with tailor-made presets and matrices for different ensemble setups. The cells in the horizontal x-axis contain different articulations from staccato over legato to repetitions. The vertical y-axis lets you switch between the different setups, from 4 players to 1 player. An important factor for the overall sound of an ensemble is that all players have to be recorded at the same time. This way you get the typical sound of an ensemble, which is impossible to achieve by stacking 4 solo instruments that have been recorded one by one. The members of an ensemble are permanently interacting. They are leveling timbre, tuning, and volume at all times. Now, if you want your ensemble to play multitimbral instead of in unison, this new approach of recording each player of an ensemble individually really pays off. The sound of any dimension brass ensemble is just as homogeneous as the one of a live ensemble. Finally, it's possible to use a different voice leading for every instrument without losing the characteristic sound of the ensemble. To demonstrate this, let's choose an Auto-divisi matrix from the tailor-made presets available in Vienna Instruments Pro. If you play 1 note, you will hear 1 instrument. Add a 2nd note and you will hear a 2nd instrument, and so forth. Switching between playing in unison and playing chords in the same ensemble has always been a difficult task. From now on, it's easy to achieve without having to tweak around to make it sound authentic. The balance in volume and the timbre will always stay the same, as you always hear 4 instruments in this example. We'll stick to the Auto-divisi matrix. Choosing the first row, you will hear 1 instrument for each voice. The 2nd row will make 2 instruments available for each voice. The 4th row will trigger all 4 players for each voice. A musical phrase that switches between 4 voices, 2 voices, and unison passages now works simple as this. Another great feature of Vienna Instruments Pro adds to the outstanding effect of Auto-divisi: Humanize. Let's choose a Vienna Instruments Pro matrix that lets all 4 instruments play in unison. You can see the different tuning curves for each instrument and every repeated note. This effect is most obvious when the Humanize slider is set to the maximum. And you'll hear that this Humanize slider is the key to define the tuning precision of each individual player of an ensemble. The cluster Humanize presets take this concept even further. These special presets assign rather harsh tuning curves to each instrument. The first instrument is very high, the second a little too high, the third one a little too low, and the fourth way too low. The tuning range is within a whole tone step, which creates a typical cluster effect. Of course, you can always manipulate the intensity with the Humanize slider. All in all, you can choose between 3 different kinds of cluster effects. The first row offers permanent clusters, the second row provides clusters that slowly detune, and in the third row the clusters come into tune. So far, all examples have shown how you can arrange the different players of an ensemble within one instance of Vienna Instruments Pro. For more complex polyphonic lines, or to produce even more human inaccuracies that cannot be achieved with one Vienna Instruments Pro instance alone, it makes sense to distribute all instruments over different instances of Vienna Instruments Pro. Here's an example of a trill combined with a run individually triggered by the 4 instruments of the ensemble. First each instrument separately, then together. And finally, here's an example that shows a different voice leading for each of the 4 instruments in the ensemble. Thanks for your attention. We can't wait to hear your feedback about this new approach in sampling technology.